I'm glad to have you here with us on this today. It is about to be a very interesting time with you all here who are viewing, jumping in, watching us, taking a look at us here. You about to get some insight to some great stuff that we're about to talk about as we're getting ready to jump into an episode of the Marriedpreneur Life podcast. So just consider yourselves a virtual audience, and you didn't have to check in with security. Nobody searched your bags. You just literally got a front row seat from wherever you are. So now you're peering in, looking in, checking in, seeing what it is that Wellness Way Buckley you're doing. We're excited because we're getting ready to go to a next set of podcast episodes. And this one, I can assure you, like all the other ones, are going to be very, very, trying to say very, very, are going to be helpful, most helpful, and meaningful to you, especially as you all are building out your legacy. So we got folks jumping in. Look, I wouldn't be mad if you just jumped in and said where you checking in from. If you all just want to shout out your cities.
Yes. With that being said, also we decided to go ahead and go live with this probably a couple of these episodes from this upcoming batch. That's going to be airing in a few another couple of months or so. But we figured, why not bring the value now, right? Like, why not go live now and share what we're going to be sharing, and so you all can start getting the insight now, start getting the support now, start getting the encouragement now. So with that being said, I think we should just go ahead and jump into this episode.
Let's do it. All right, what's up, everybody? This is OL.
And this is Sway Buckley
of MarriedpreneurLife.com. Yep, this is where we help mission-minded married entrepreneurs, those who want to get more clarity, generate more income, but above all of that, leave a lasting impact.
Yes, married entrepreneurs come to us to sync high-level systems with laser-clear strategy to build out their structure peaceably and profitably. So whether you're an indiepreneur, a spousalpreneur, or a couplepreneur, you absolutely are going to get some amazing value from this today. Now, you may not even know what those are. Indiepreneurs are those couples who are building individual businesses, and spousalpreneurs are those couples who are actually where one spouse is building the business and the other spouse is working a 9 to 5. And then you have the couplepreneurs where both spouses are building the same business together, or you can be like a combination of any of those, as we are today. We are both spousal, we are indie and couplepreneurs.
That's right. At one point, we were spousalpreneurs and indiepreneurs.
Yeah. That's how that worked out. So anyway, we switched. Okay, so today we are first want to welcome you. If this is your first time listening to the Marriedpreneur Life podcast, welcome. If you're watching via Facebook, go ahead and press that share button to help some other marriedpreneurs out as well. And if you're on IG, you can definitely tag some other marriedpreneurs who will be finding content concerning what we're talking about today helpful. What we're talking about is the 2 types of stuck for marriedpreneurs and how to get unstuck. The 2 types of stuck, and how to, not just how to get unstuck, but actually how to move forward. Because we were just talking about that unstuck and moving forward is not necessarily the same thing.
Yeah, it's one thing to get pulled out of a ditch. It's another thing to get back on the road and down the road towards your destination.
Yes, so. Speaking of a ditch, so when you think about when we are talking about the word stuck, and a quick story, I shared this a while ago. In college, I was headed out to an event where a group of folks from the school we were all going to be going skating, right, at a skating rink back in the day. We used to do a skating rink, and it was raining. It was late at night, not late, but it was dark. And so I was driving down this unfamiliar road, and on that road, I see the skating rink, and then I thought I was turning into the parking lot. But here's the thing about a lot of the roads in Texas, especially if it's like a back, in the backwoods, not backwoods, but it's just not in a very
off the beaten path.
Yes, road. There's often times you may see a type of ditch, or I'm not even sure what you call it. I just say ditch because that's what happened. It's long though, and it goes alongside the road. And then when you want to turn in to a location that's on the other side of the ditch, there'll be like a little bridge that takes you over, right? So I thought I was turning into the parking lot of the skating rink, but come to find out, I was not. I ended up into that ditch. And so I totally missed I didn't understand that it wasn't The parking lot just didn't go all the way across. Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay. So with that being said, what happened? What had happened was I found myself in a ditch, and literally speaking. And so I was by myself in the car, but thankfully I was at the location, right? And I did not. I did everything that I could personally do to get out of it. I pressed the accelerator. The wheels just spun, and the mud went everywhere. I tried to reverse out of it, and again, the mud went everywhere. And in that particular type of stuck, I actually had to get help to get unstuck. But so we were talking about, well, what does it mean to actually be quote unquote stuck?
Yeah, in a very simple way. And let me just say this, guys, because I'm kind of having a little cough thing going
Oh, goodness. They could still hear
on. Sorry about that. All right. It means to want to move forward, but
you can't.
not able to move forward.
Not able to. Right. I was going to help you out.
Thank you.
Yes. So not wanting to move forward, but not able to make progress doing that because something is blocking your path. And oftentimes, as marriedpreneurs, you can feel this way. But we were speaking with, we've been doing this for a while, but recently we were speaking with one of our marriedpreneur couples, and they were not taking the steps that we were laying out for them to take. And we're like, why are you not taking the steps? Like, what exactly is going on? So come to find out, they felt that they were stuck, but they had the information and the accountability, but there was something else going on. And so this is when we broke down the two types of stuck, because sometimes you may, it can be frustrating to feel like, you know what to do, but you're still spinning your wheels. And spinning your wheels only leads to becoming frustrated, becoming exhausted. And this is not the path that we want any couple to be taking. So with that being said, let's quick do a rundown of the two types of stuck, and then we're going to break down each one of those, and then how to not be there, how to move forward.
Okay, so there are two types or two areas of being stuck. One is internal, and the other is external. So you're either internally stuck or externally stuck, or it's possible to be both, but they fall in those two categories. But let's talk first about being internally stuck. Let's start with the inner. So if you would imagine two branches of this one tree, one branch represents self-stuck, and the other branch would represent marriage or maritally stuck.
And this is within the internal tree.
And this is within the internal tree. So internally speaking, there's two branches that splinter off. On one hand, internally, you're either self-stuck. On the other hand, internally, you're maritally stuck. So when we talk about being internally stuck, here are three ways to identify, or three reasons, three causes for being internally stuck. The first is due to typically a lack of conviction. A lack of conviction. Conviction is just simply belief. So I'm either lacking belief about what it is that we're doing, or I could lack the belief about my role, about my ability to add to bring me to the table about what it is that we're doing and building. So there's a lack of conviction or lack of belief there. It could also be, secondly, on the internally stuck, a lack of commitment. And commitment is really just a resolve. It is almost like an oath within yourself. It's almost like you make a self-oath, a self-commitment to say, come what may, this is what I'm going to do. It's almost an internal resolve or policy that says it doesn't matter, OL, this is what you're going to do as it pertains to what you all are building. So it's either a lack of conviction, lack of commitment, or thirdly and finally, no constitution. I know that kind of sounds like an odd word here, but everyone has a constitution. It's like the substance that makes up your character. So if you think about it, even just on a national level, like we have a national constitution, right? It's called the American Constitution, and it's the ethos, the thought, the motive, the value that says here's how we're going to engage, and this is what's going to make our nation unique. Well, you have to have an internal constitution, and it's really your character. It says this is who I am and why I'm doing this. And so when you have that internal constitution, or you don't have it, rather, which by the way you could just call a constitution a standard. This is typically the reasons for being stuck. Now, this is not just true for self. Remember, there's two branches to the internal stuck. There's the self-stuck and the maritally stuck. Whether it's self or whether it's between the two of you, it's usually due to a lack of conviction on one or both parts, a lack of commitment on one of yours or both parts, or a no constitution on one of you or between both of you.
Right. And this is important. Number one, understanding that there are two types for marriedpreneurs, especially, is because if you think that it's one thing that is you feel like is your obstacle, but really that's not the thing. Like really, it's something that you can that's a different focus. Then you'll constantly be trying to fix something over here, but meanwhile you're missing the main thing, right? And so this is why we're going over this. As we had a couple of conversations recently with some couples, and we realized this is a big this is a big thing. We want to make sure that you all are equipped and you feel confident as you all are moving forward, and that doesn't necessarily mean you need to have all the steps, but it does mean that you all are clear on where you're going, what you're doing. So that's the first type of stuck, which is the internally stuck. And then of course the opposite of that would be externally stuck. And externally stuck, when someone feels this way, it's often because they are seeking the answer to one or two questions. It is what to do and how do I do it. I don't know what to do next, and I don't even know how to do what I need to do next. Or I do know what to do, but I just don't know how to do it, right? So it can be a combination of those two. Now, here's the thing. When we're talking about the externally stuck, if you're feeling that way or have been feeling that way, it usually comes down to either a lack of organization, like understanding how the plan goes, what that really looks like, or it's a lack of actual structure to what it is that you're doing, which is the big overview of like your business model and how it flows with your team and your tools working together. And then you go under that structure. Inside the structure is the systems. Like how does the structure maintain or sustain itself? It's because there are systems that have to be going on, that have to be working well, right? There have to be efficient systems going on. Now, those are usually the three areas when people say, or couples say, oh, well, we're dealing with this, we're stuck, and it's an external stuck. It's usually going to come down to those three areas. And it doesn't just have to be one of them, because if it's dealing with organization, it's likely going to be have some aspect or impact on the actual business model, which is your structure. And then ultimately it can have, an impact on the systems as well that are being used.
Yeah, I tend to think in pictures. So I just want to offer this as a picture for somebody out there who's listening to this. So when you think about a building, a building starts with blueprints, right? And that's a draft. It's like a plan. It's schematics. And so it tells you what all needs to happen and where things need to go in relationship to other things. So as you all are thinking about building out your legacy, or as you're building out your legacy, you're building, right? So do you have organization? Do you have the plans, the schematics, the blueprint for what it is that you're building? Well, then you got to have structure. So now we're talking beams and foundation and things like that, because you could have elevators and desks and computers, but if you don't know what floor to put it on, because there isn't a floor, or if you don't have elevators or anything that's going to hold those systems together, then it doesn't matter. So you got to have the organization. What are we building, right? And you got to have the structure. These are the things that are non-negotiable. We got to have a foundation. We got to have walls. We got to have a roof. We got to have beams and pillars, right?
Yep.
But then you got to have systems, all the stuff internally that works within the structure, but it was sought out and known about in the organization.
Yes. So with that being said, let's bring it on to the other side now. What are some simple ways to actually move forward? And we're going to talk more about this over in the next segment, which is the enjoying the journey together segment. But just to kind of give you a quick overview, when it comes to internally, we're going to be talking about ways and things that you would want to. It always is going to start with an assessment, whether it's dealing with individually being stuck or corporately as far as the marriage. It's always going to start with an assessment. You're going to be assessing first and then discussing on the internal. Assessing first and then discussing. Assessing first, and we're going to talk in the enjoying the journey together segment what things need to be assessed and what things need to be discussed together, because this is the whole point. We're talking about marriage and business and working together. Even if one of you is called to entrepreneurship, we believe the family is called to entrepreneurship.
That's right.
So if one of you is the entrepreneur, the other is supporting, you're still building a legacy together. And so this is why it's important to have these types of conversations. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to be in the same business together, but you are building a legacy together. So that's necessary. And then when it comes to the external piece of that, just making sure that you definitely have the right community, the right coaches around you. But there's different ways to do that, right? It doesn't have to be in the traditional way. And we're going to talk more about that over in the enjoying the journey together segment. So you can actually take these tools to start applying them to see the results and really truly enjoy the journey together. So with that being said, let's head on over there now, and we're going to break this part down for you so you can actually take it, start applying it, and see the results. Okay, let's go on over. All good.
Yep.
All good. Okay, guys, so that's it for today for this piece of it. Once it goes live, we'll have the enjoying the journey segment ready for you. But we want to make sure that we get you all, if you're in this place, if you're feeling like you have been stuck or you're not, you're spinning your wheels and you need the next step. So this is a great place to start because awareness is key. And then you'll be able to actually do something about your awareness, do something about what you are aware about. And it may not even be right now in the season, right. But trust and believe there's always opposition waiting around.
Every corner,
right? All right. So y'all have a good one, and we will see you in a little bit.
Peace.